So in this way, we are told that God refreshed Himself. God caught His breath. He rested when we know that God is not a God who requires rest. So all of this is teaching us the spiritual truth of the true work, which is the work that Jesus did on our behalf, and entering into His rest, our faith, our belief, then enters us into His rest with Him. The writer to the Hebrews makes all of that I just said explicit in chapter 4. Here's what he said. For we who have believed enter that rest. The context of Hebrews 4, the writer just got done talking about the Hebrew children in the wilderness who didn't believe, and he just got done saying because of their unbelief, they didn't enter the rest. But by our faith, by our belief, we enter the rest of Christ. Verse 9, so then there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. There remains another one. For whoever has entered God's rest has also rested from his works as God did from His. So there's another rest to come. That's the eternal Sabbath, the eternal rest that is stored up for us. But here in this life, in a spiritual sense, we enter into the rest of Christ because He has completed our work for us. He rests, and we have this refreshing. So remember how God said two things for the Sabbath. Do not work and honor the Sabbath. So this is to be a day of both physical refreshing and spiritual refreshing. Spiritual rejuvenation, spiritual refreshment. Psalm 23 verses 2 and 3. He makes me lie down in green pastures. You hear it? He makes me rest. He tells me to rest. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. So the purpose of the Sabbath is soul restoration. Restoring of the soul through the resting in Christ. And again, we're talking about spiritual realities, but we're using physical language for it. We rest in the work of Christ and have our souls restored. So you remember these words from Matthew's Gospel. Everybody knows these words. Come unto me, all ye who are weak and heavy laden, and I will do what? Give you rest. Okay? We know those words. Does anybody know the context of those words? We've said this many times before, that you will be greatly helped if you teach yourself to have the habit of ignoring chapter divisions. You will begin to see connections that you don't see when the chapter divisions artificially obscure that for you. So what I just quoted is at the end of Matthew chapter 11. Come unto me, all ye who are weak and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm weak and lowly of heart. That's the very end of chapter 11. The beginning of chapter 12 are these two stories. See that? Those words of Jesus lead directly into Matthew's account of these exact two stories. So what Matthew is saying, he quotes Jesus, come unto me, I'm your rest, I'm your rest. Now let me tell you two stories of those who didn't find their rest in Christ. All the while Jesus is saying, I'm the rest.